Hi, everyone. We are back to discuss another film noir, one of the greats, The Third Man from 1949, was it?
1949, yes.
Ah, good. I remembered. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this movie? I'm Debbie Mack, by the way. I write the Sam McRae mysteries and the Eric Jensen mysteries, as well as other novels and screenplays. And F.R.
And
Jameson, why
I'm
don't
F.R.
you?
Jameson. I write Screen Siren Noir, and I'm sure I will bring up during the course of this also the Ludo Carstairs supernatural thrillers, which take some inspiration from this.
Awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, one of the things about this movie that really struck me anyway, this time watching it, was just how almost meta the thing was. It was like, okay, a Pulp Fiction writer inadvertently stumbles into a movie that seems to be based on Pulp Fiction, kind of.
Yes.
Because so many of the lines, so many of the situations, so many of the tropes of the genre
Mhm.
came out in the movie.
Well,
I was just
let me
struck
just
by it this time.
let me just quickly say what it's about, or my wife will be cross with me.
Oh,
So,
wouldn't want that. Go for it.
no. So Joseph Cotton is Holly Martins, who is he's a cowboy writer rather than a thriller writer, I suppose is the one difference. But he arrives in war-torn Vienna in, I guess, 1949. Um, he's there to see his old friend Harry Lyne, but when he gets there, Harry Lyne has died. So Joseph Cotton asks around a bit, and Harry Lyne appears to be knocked over, and two men carried him across the road. But a porter tells him there was a third man who carried him across the road. So Holly Martin stays, and he's partly there to find out about Harry Lyme, and partly there because he's very attracted to Harry Lyme's girlfriend Valley. But one night at Valley's apartment, he discovers someone watching him from the dark, and he yells at this person, and the light switches on and above, and it's Harry Lyme himself.
Cat got your tongue? Come on out. Come out, whoever you are. Step out in the light and let's have a look at you. Who's your boss?
Ja, zum Teufel nochmal, was ist denn da los? Sagen Sie, was fällt denn Ihnen überhaupt ein? Sind Sie deppert? Ja, Sie meine ich, schauen Sie nicht so blöd. Eine Frechheit ist das, mitten in der Nacht so einen Krawall zu machen.
Harry.
Eine Frechheit ist das, so einen Krawall zu machen.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. And from
And
there,
one thing I noticed in this film, I haven't seen it for a while, is like I think one of the first shots, and it's when Holly is arriving in Vienna. It looks fantastic. He walks underneath a ladder. There's a
yeah, I
man cleaning
noticed that.
windows, and he walks right underneath the ladder.
I
It's just some
know.
kind of just rumination on bad luck.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah,
you walk under that ladder, you've walked into the Twilight Zone, dude.
yeah,
And another thing it reminded me of, I have to wonder if the Coen brothers took inspiration for the dude from some of his behaviors here, because he just really blunders in there, not knowing what he's doing, asking questions in over his head, bounced around. I mean, the scene where, in the scene involving the subplot there with the literary society that put him up at the
yes,
hotel. I'm like,
yes.
really? Really? But then, he's like kidnapped at one point. And I remember the first time I saw this, I'm like, what the? And then the next thing you know, there they are waiting for him. Please. It's the famous Holly Martins from the other side. I love the way he said
Yes.
that. From the other side. I felt like saying, what is this, a seance? Is this guy dead? The other
Well, the bit when they
side.
start, he's asked, "Who are your inspirations?" He goes, "Well, Zane Grey." So isn't Zane Grey a writer of cowboy novels? Mr. Martins is obviously joking there.
I know. I know so many great lines like that
Yeah.
in the movie. There's something very Hitchcockian about this movie. It not only the deliberation, how deliberately the shots are placed, but
Yeah.
the lines, the action, the suspense, the little twist there with the literary society, and
Yes.
that moment when somebody questions him, and I'm reminded of the 39 Steps for a second.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
those are things that crossed my mind as I was watching
Yes.
this.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's kind of, it is 4 years after the war, and it is actually being shot in Vienna. So presumably, they are just like they were British films at the time. Human Cry springs to mind of, you just basically make the rubble a character and make the fact that you're in ruins be incredibly picturesque. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
even just the rubble
yeah,
it adds something to the movie. I mean, there's a grittiness, a sense of desolation, destruction,
yeah. Well, it's both the grittiness and the dreaminess, and that
and
you don't
dreaminess.
get in many noir cityscapes literal wastelands that appear around you. You can just walk into a wasteland and hide in pipes. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If you did that in New York, I go, aren't people building on this? Why is there a wasteland?
You probably could do it in New York. I think there are like tunnels and stuff that people,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
there are
interesting,
very
something to think
few
about.
open areas that are just rubble. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Open up areas that are just rubble. Well, there could be areas here and there. Some parts of New York are more picturesque than others.
Yes, yes. You're right.
Um,
The Big Lebowski comparison is quite a good one. Is he is kind of, yeah, he's not a very good detective.
yeah, I know, I
Yeah,
know. Yeah, and that
he's
Porter
not.
was
He's
not
not a
particularly bright.
yeah, and he's not a particularly moral man necessarily. In that he is the one who sort of engineers what Harry Lime's death, but he doesn't do it because Harry Lime is a bad person. He does it to impress Valley by getting her passport back. It's the reason he actually does it.
Hmm.
If it wasn't for her, he'd quite possibly just let Harry Lime go. It's
Hmm.
yeah,
Never really thought about that.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's turned around. He doesn't, even though he's taken to the penicillin, the ward where the people who have received the bad medicine for Harry Lime are there's children, isn't it? So yeah, he sees
Yeah,
all
yeah.
these
Lots of children.
horribly injured children. He still does it for selfish reasons.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
guess, it's a Graham Greene script and it's a very cynical worldview.
Hmm.
That's
That,
that,
that
that
would be
comes a lot from
consistent.
Greene. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
consistent with him, wouldn't it?
yeah.
That's interesting. I never really thought about it. Because I haven't, you know, I've read like one book by Graham Greene. That was Brighton Rock.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cynical worldview, yeah.
Yes, yes. There's another good black and white film, Brighton Rock.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, with
Uh,
William Hartnell in the cast of that one.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
I noticed that. Yeah. The doctor. And he's so mean.
He's horrible in that film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You meet a good bad guy, yeah.
yes. As is Richard Attenborough, to be fair, who is normally, so twinkly in Jurassic Park and Miracle on 34th Street, and he's utterly vicious in Brighton Rock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's amazing. It's
yes.
amazing. So yeah, I did love that whole bit with the literary group putting him up, which I thought was
Hmm.
somewhat fortuitous,
Yes,
lucky fortuitous.
yeah,
And then he hangs around and he keeps asking all these questions, and then that porter who practically shouts, "Hey, I have important information that you really gonna want to
yeah.
know, but I have to meet you secretly about it later, okay?"
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a secret, okay? Shouting from the window. You idiot.
Yes.
Well, okay then. And then of course the kid, I was wondering about the kid and the ball bouncing in the
Oh,
room.
yes.
I was
Yeah.
like, what's that all about? And then you
Mm.
realize it's a setup for later
Yeah.
when the kid says murderer.
Yeah, that does feel a very Hitchcock moment, that of, because he
Mm.
doesn't understand the language. He doesn't understand, German or Austrian, and he just stood on the street blithely while everyone in the crowd comes to the conclusion he's a killer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes from bumbling detective to accused at that
Yeah.
moment, and the stakes are raised considerably for him.
Hmm.
So one can understand why he would want to get the hell out of town, but then he doesn't. And then he
Yes.
gets involved with Veli and the whole shebang there.
Yeah. And then he realizes Harry is still alive,
Hmm. Yeah.
which leads into, yeah, we haven't actually mentioned his name yet. So I'm sure there would be a lot of people who don't know much about this film and who will put it on and after an hour go, isn't Orson Welles supposed to be in this film? Where
Yeah.
exactly is he in this film?
I know. He doesn't show up until quite late. Yeah.
Yes,
I'd say
he
probably about
doesn't show.
halfway into the movie.
Yes,
Probably.
well, he's on screen for 10 minutes. The character, but according to Simon Callow's biography, if you don't see it Wells's face, it's not him. If it's the back of his head, that's not him.
Hmm.
So he himself is in it for about 6 minutes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the running through the tunnels. Yeah,
He
unless
didn't.
you actually can see his face, it's not him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's interesting. That is interesting. Huh. So they got a
it's
stunt
a good
double
just
to
as a side.
do the
Yeah,
whole.
when they were making the film, and Alexander Corder had hired him to play the part and paid him the money, and then Wells refused to come to set and led them on this whole merry dance around Europe. And Cawdor's men were sent out to try to find him. There was three of them. They took him down to Capri off Naples, and they got the ferry over to Capri. And just as the ferry docked in Capri dock, a speedboat shot out to Orson Welles in the back of it, waving at them. He headed on elsewhere.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Eh, wow. I had no idea. That's
yeah.
very interesting.
He was annoyed as he took a flat fee. He was offered a percent. He claimed he was offered a percentage and took a flat fee. And of
Hmm.
course, it was by far the most commercially successful thing he ever did.
Naturally.
So he could have maybe been making money off it every year, but now he
No,
paid his fee.
instead he ended
Yeah.
up making commercials for wine.
Hmm. Yeah. It would have gone a long way to funding his films if he'd actually just taken them a separate
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I kind of found myself finding parts of this movie that reminded me of Citizen Kane.
Hmm.
Like when Holly Martins is sitting in the auditorium and he's looking at his
Yeah.
program or whatever. I thought
Yeah.
immediately of Leland,
Yeah. Doing the opera program and
right? The opera
yeah.
program and him sitting there just playing with it.
Yes.
But it was interesting that he and Wells were together again in this movie. They've done other movies together, haven't they?
They were
Wasn't
in
The Magnificent
you,
Ambersons?
yeah, Wells wasn't in that. I mean, he
He
narrated it,
he,
but he
he
wasn't in.
directed or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. And
Yes. And Joseph Cotton's The
Joseph Cotton.
Doctor in Touch of Evil.
Right. Yeah. I've never
Yeah.
seen that one.
You know, we should do that one.
Is that a film noir?
It's a night. I guess you could call it. It's a 1950s tough crime drama on the Mexican border. So I think it would fall within the remit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Magnificent Ambersons.
No, Touch of Evil, not Magnificent Amazon.
Oh, Touch of Evil. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Touch of Evil. Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
just for the opening scene, just for the opening
Yes.
scene there.
Yes.
One
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
It gets me every time. It's like I'm like, I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. Oh yeah, that's a good one. So what do you think Orson Welles had any effect on this movie? I mean, just other than the 6 minutes or whatever he was on there. I mean,
No, because
somehow
he
Welles
says
feels so
he
present.
he would he would argue yes, but then he would argue that about every film he made as an actor. But he was basically there
He was not exactly
co-directing it.
shy about his talents.
Yeah, I mean, if people point at the kind of the askew shots and the Dutch angles and the lighting, and go, oh, that's very like Kane. But the
Hmm.
film Carol Reed made before this was also Graham Greene called Fallen Idol, and that looks exactly the same as this. You know, the two films are very similar stylistically, and that's before he even worked. I mean, he presumably had seen Citizen Kane, so
Yeah, yeah.
he would have been influenced by it as well. So,
I also hear that the cinematographer, I think, did another movie called Odd Man Out.
oh yes, yes,
I think that's what it was, Odd Man Out.
yeah.
Supposed to be
So I
good.
believe it's another Carol Reed film. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Carol Reed, right. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Oh,
yes, and that that's another stylistically black and white film. There's a
yeah.
lot of stuff in the air. Then I mean, that's the thing with film noir. It's a lot of shadows. It's a lot of strange angles. We did Kiss Me Deadly last time, which is a much brighter film than this, but um, not as good, but does have a lot of strange angles and shadows worked into it as well. So there's bits of
Hmm.
that you could pause and go, "That looks really good." That shot you have there.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it just really, the
Mhm.
whole scenario is so
Yeah.
shadowy, um, angular at times, bleak.
Yes.
One gets the sense of exhaustion, ruin,
Yes.
the attempt to continue to survive in the face of all this with wreckage, kind of. There's a
Yeah.
kind of a I kept thinking of Casablanca and sort of the intrigues of all the people at the tables talking. But there's a kind of
Yeah.
whole international intrigue going on here
Yeah.
within this with this pulp story kind of taking place with international
Casablanca's a far more
intrigue mixed
noble
in.
film, though. In that you wouldn't have Paul Henreid's character wouldn't fit in this film
Oh
because
yeah,
he's too
no.
good, and Humphrey Bogart wouldn't make the turn that he does in Casablanca.
Right. No, he just
He'd
make off
probably
with the
just
dame.
he'd probably just sell out Paul Henry and go off and ring with Bergman. That would be the end of the
Yeah.
film.
And she might have
That
just
was
told him
it.
right from the start, hey, I was married to this other guy, okay?
Yeah,
Use me. I thought he was captured or killed or some shit.
yeah. To be
I
fair,
never
you see
understood that.
that Casablanca comparison there, it is essentially what Holly Martin's trying to do in this film. He tries to sell out Harry Lang and go off with Valley. That is what he attempts to do.
Well, he tries.
I, yeah,
You got to give him points for trying.
yes, he only gets halfway there.
So Harry Lime may give bad medicine to people and cause horrible deformities to children, but
Yeah,
Holly Martin is a bad guy because he wanted to hook up with Valley and
yeah.
screw
Well, it's just
him.
it's the more cynical version, though.
I
As I said,
suppose,
he
yeah.
does. Yeah, he doesn't turn on Harry Lime for noble reasons. He does it for his own self-interest.
Huh. Well,
Yeah,
maybe so.
yeah,
Maybe. I don't know. I never pictured Holly as being that venal. Quite quite so venal that he wouldn't have some humanitarian in him.
yeah.
I mean, the guy's a writer. I mean, most writers tend to, I mean, and he's looking into his friend's death. He thinks this guy
Yes.
is a good guy and a friend. Of course, they've
It's
done
odd though. Like, he's
sketchy
come there with his down
things.
his luck. But there's the bit when they actually meet on the Ferris wheel
Hmm.
and Holly Martin chastises him for running off before and leaving Holly Martin to be arrested.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah,
noticed that this time, and I thought, okay,
yeah,
so he's done sketchy things in the past too.
yeah,
So
yeah,
he's done sketchy things. I don't know what he was arrested for.
yeah.
I have no idea. But I know I like the word scarper. I think that's such a great word. I love when Bernard Lee says that scarper, scarper
Yeah.
to the balloon man, scarper.
It's the thing with Joseph Cotton's performance. So some people will, I mean, that
Yeah.
is that as the flaw of the film.